private prison company took an activist to court for writing articles that claimed the company's practice included family separations. And the court has ruled the activist was not in the wrong. Morgan Simon, who contributes to Forbes, has written about how the two largest private prison companies, CoreCivic and GEO Group, manage detention centers at the heart of the family separation policy. CoreCivic sued Simon for libel, saying the use of the term family separation makes it sound like they are also detaining children against their will, though they held parents in detention who were ultimately separated from their families and children. With me now, one of the writers of that article, Naveed Jamali. He's the editor-at-large at Newsweek. We're also joined by that activist taken to court. Morgan Simon is a founding partner of Candide Group, a senior contributor at Forbes, and author of the book Real Impact: The New Economics of Social Change. Morgan, thanks so much for being with us. Newsweek shared some of the court transcript as CoreCivic fought that they weren't separating families because they weren't detaining children. The judge said, but you were housing the families that had been separated, part of them, the parents' part, the adults' part. What is the important message there when it comes to how family separation is defined?
So let's be clear. Birds fly, fish swim, prisons separate families in any circumstance. Anytime that someone goes to prison or jail or detention center, they have been separated from a family member. Now, in the case of Trump's family separation policy, you were ripping families apart and detaining both sides of that equation. Now, it certainly takes two to tango, and that means that if you were incarcerating the parents, you are absolutely participating in family separation. That's why I'm still shocked to this day at this frivolous lawsuit, the idea that you would waste a dime of shareholder money trying to deny this truth, as opposed to really seeing what are the opportunities we have for real criminal justice and immigration reform.
Naveed, when you put this story in front of me, you argued to me that this was bigger than just these companies. It was a First Amendment rights issue. Tell me why.
Well, I mean, when I first saw this, it seemed unbelievable to think that, you know, the core of CoreCivic's libel case against Morgan was that she was calling this family separation. And, you know, whether it's libel or slander, the best defense is the truth. In this case, it's hard to argue that family separation isn't happening if you just detain the adults, the parents. In fact, that's what the judge said, as Morgan pointed out. So, yes, I mean, this seems to be larger than just family detention and CoreCivic and Morgan. There's a question here, which is, look, if a corporation doesn't like what an activist is saying, and that activist is saying the truth, and that impacts their bottom line, that impacts their ability to raise capital, can they just sue? And in this case, they did, and they lost. And so I think this has a chilling impact, whether, you know, you're an American who defends the First Amendment, you're in media, or you're an activist. I mean, I think the idea that someone could sue Morgan for just telling the truth, it's just anti-American.
Morgan, what does it tell you that this private company would go through these lengths partly to avoid being lumped with Trump's family separation policy?
It tells me two things. One is that they fundamentally don't understand social movements, which is that there were millions of people taking activist steps around family separation and hundreds of thousands that were organized by the Families Belong Together Coalition to address the role of money in the banks financing private prisons. So there were so many of us saying we don't want to make money for our families by locking up someone else's. Now, I'm an impact investor. I spend most of my time helping people who want their money working for social justice. And in general, I'm against any industry that is profiting from causing harm. We know that there is a better way. And that means that we have the opportunity to finance industries that are really going to do social good in the world. So I think that that is an important piece of this equation, that it really was part of a larger social movement. And then it's also reflective of the fact that the private prison industry has been facing some serious financial distress. You know, beyond losing this case, Biden and Kamala Harris having pledged to stop the use of private prisons at the federal level, and then the incredible loss in their stock price. CoreCivic seeing over 50% in the course of a year, and its credit downgraded from average to negative. So between those three, losing the lawsuit, the new administration, and their financial performance, it's really the writing on the wall for the industry. And to blame one activist for that, who's part of really a massive movement, it just really seems like folly to me.
Naveed, the sister of a woman, a mother who was detained and separated from her family, told Newsweek, "My family is still recovering from the horror of being separated. It was bad enough for me to think the U.S. government treated us so poorly. It was even worse when I realized that a private company was actually making money off of our misery, too." Naveed, for someone who's watching who doesn't know much about these companies, what is it that they need to understand?
Well, they need to understand that this is a corporation that is driven by making profit, as corporations do. And in this case, that motivation means that they want more people that they can bill the U.S. government for, and they want them there longer. So they're not incentivized to push these people in front of a court, to get their day in front of a judge. And it's a chilling impact when we start making this a profit-driven enterprise, right? I mean, that's going to have an impact on how long people stay, how many people come. And I think that, when you come with immigration, it's a double negative. And I think it's something we want to make sure we keep shining a light on.
All right, Naveed and Morgan, thank you both.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.